morning everyone and welcome to today's workshop on referencing. My name is Ruju Tiwari and I'll be teaching you the APA referencing style. So as you're already aware that your assignments are due next week, and because of that reason we want you to focus on the skills of doing correct referencing. So if you have any questions between the workshop, you feel free to ask me. And if you have any doubts, while we're doing the presentation, you can always stop me and ask as many questions as you want. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So, can any one of you tell me that what do you understand by referencing? Have you written your assignments before?
Yeah.
Yeah?
From the dictionary I have, I think when you talk about referencing, it has to do with citing authors on a particular topic you're dealing with.
That's really good. So whenever you are citing from a different source, or you're taking any information from any kind of research databases, whether it's a book, whether it's a journal, whether it's from any video, whether it's from an article, you're using that source, right? So it's always good to acknowledge that source. So you use citations, you use in-text citations, that is within the writing, and towards the end you use a reference list where you provide all the details of that particular source. Yeah? So here at WIC we mainly focus on the APA referencing style. Now APA stands for the American Psychological Association. So this is a style of referencing that is used in higher education, in universities, in colleges, and it mainly follows the author date format. So as you have already done some assignments, you already know what the correct format of referencing is. So first you use the name of the author followed by the date. Yeah, that is within the text, and towards the end you provide the author's last name, then date of publishing, then year of publishing, any title of any journal, any book, followed with the page number.
So I'm sorry to ask you, you just said something about acknowledging the source, or the source of the authority. So,
yes.
So how do we go about doing that, acknowledging?
Yeah. So in your academic life, you will be reading a number of sources. You will be reading many books, you will be reading many articles, journals, right? And if there is any quote or if there is any point from any book that you really like, right? And you think that, let me just incorporate that particular quote in my assignment. So if you directly copy and paste that quote, right, without giving acknowledgement to the writer or the author of that particular book, then it is plagiarism.
Plagiarism, yeah.
Right.
Plagiarism.
So let me give you an example. So if I say that there is a nexus between truth, power and knowledge, right? So if I am using this statement just like that without giving credit to the original author, which is Michel Foucault, he was a French philosopher, if I just write this quote directly in my assignment, then it will be plagiarized, right? So plagiarism, as you already know in simple terms, is when you're copying someone else's work without giving them due credit, right? So imagine you have done an assignment and someone else just copies, blindly from your assignment, then obviously, you will won't be acknowledged, and you can file any complaint against that person, right? So severe actions can be taken, if you are not doing correct referencing and you are not following the correct format. So the learning objective for this workshop is that we'll learn the significance and importance of referencing, and how you can use the correct citation list, and towards the end, whether it's the bibliography, reference list or the work cited, and how you can use some tools like MS tools, and what are the different research databases from which you can take out the sources. So for example, there is an assignment that you have to do, the first thing I think that we do is that, we Google it. We Google any particular topic, right? So for example, can you just give me any topics that you're doing your assignments on?
Presently, we have give the first the first assignment we have.
We go that merge learning and development in the group.
Can
And,
I see that, please?
This is this.
According to the model we have.
Alright, so for example, you have to, write how development works in different educational sectors,
Yeah.
whether it's higher education, whether it's further education, whether it's, university education. So for that, you have to make a presentation. The first thing that we do is that we just Google it, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know whether, the source that we are using, it's credible or not, right? Whether it's the information which is on any particular website, whether it's authentic or not, right? So for that reason, in academic assignments, just try to use some research databases which have, credibility, which have authentic proof. So for that, you can use the LTU library, you can go to the WIC library, you can look at, Google Scholar, you can use, some websites like JSTOR, Project Muse. So all these websites, Academia, so all these websites or the databases, will have books or will have articles which have, correct, details or the accurate information that has been researched for. So mostly, in universities we use the APA referencing style, and in APA also we use the 7th edition. So there are different editions, right? So there is the Harvard referencing style, there is MLA referencing style, but here we use the APA referencing style. So whenever you are using Microsoft Word or any the software, just make sure that you are attributing to the 7th edition of the APA, right? So I will discuss what are the details that you need to look for. Okay, now so what is referencing? Let's just try to understand what is your understanding of referencing.
Yeah.
So one thing that you said is the in-text citations, right? So let's just say that you have given the author's name and date within the text. Do you think that is sufficient for referencing, or do you need to write it towards the end as well?
Reference.
I think referencing has to be done alongside of the write-off.
Yes.
Yeah, your reference, you write it at the end of your assignment when you finish. In the conclusion, you put the reference at the bottom there. As soon you write anything, yeah, like
Yeah.
they can ask you, you can make introduction, yeah. For example, like what psychology mean. That definition, then you need to get it from maybe Google Scholar. That
Yeah.
definition, then I put the name of the author. When I introduce my assignment, the introduction, then I'll put the name of the editor when I give us a definition for that psychology name. That's I put the name. Then at the bottom, I put the list for the references. I put in the cell. I put in the bottom over there.
Excellent. So you already know, there are two kinds of references. As you already said, that if you are using any definition or any quote from any website or any journal article, you use the quote from that author within the text, and you write the name of the author followed with the date, right? And also to to prove the further details of that particular reference, you provide a list after the conclusion. So you can either name it as reference list, references, work cited, or bibliography. They mean one and the same thing, and you can use it synonymously. So if you can just see on the screen, the simple definition of referencing is, so referencing means acknowledging the work of others when you refer to them in your own writing, right? So referencing can take place within the body of your work, which is the in-text citation or citing within the text, and linking those citations or quotes or phrases at the bottom, whether it's a references list or the bibliography. Okay. Now the main reason is that why is there a need of giving a reference list, or why is there a need of doing in-text citation? So one of the main reasons of why we do referencing in academic assignments is because we want to demonstrate that you have done your research, but you are not just blindly copying and pasting someone else's work, but you are doing like a critical analysis of that work. So by being by doing a critical analysis, you are informing your readers that you have done your own research, and you have your own analysis of the topic that you're writing about. Also, why we do references, or why we take quotes or ideas of take inspiration from others' ideas, is because we want to support your own claims, right? So if you are saying that let me just give you an example. If you say that due to COVID, students aren't able to learn that much in online classes, right? So if I just make a simple claim like this, that students learn more in in-person classes rather than online. If it's such a simple case, for that I need to back up this argument, right? Otherwise, someone can say me that this is like a false claim. Do you have any evidence? So to prove the claims, or to prove my argument, I need to back it up with some author, someone who has already been in the industry. I can use some author, some acclaimed person in the education, any professor, any person who has already credibility. So also accurate referencing shows that the information which you have acquired for your work is authentic. The information is correct, right? Now the next thing, as we've already talked about it, if you see, there is a difference between paraphrasing and blindly copying someone else's work, right? Paraphrasing is when you are taking inspiration from someone else's work and writing that in your own words, right? So even if you are writing in your own words, and if there are some quotes, if there are some words which some other person has created, right, or the other person has credibility for that, even then you have to acknowledge that work, right? So not just directly quoting from that person and putting it in double quotes, but also if you're paraphrasing, sometimes you have to give credit to that person and acknowledge their work. So another thing is that, so when we do referencing, it enables the other person or the reader to look at your references. Let's say I am interested in the research that you're doing in further education, right? So for that, the only thing that I'll have to do apart from reading your assignment is look at your reference list, right? So let's say you have given like 5 or 6 reference lists. So I can actually go and I can actually open those references and I can do my own research. So it enables your readers as well to do their own research. The next thing is that obviously the most important thing for you at this level is to meet the marking criteria. At the end of the day, all of you want good marks, right?
Yeah.
And the main reason that you're making sure that you're doing the correct references is to get good marks, right? Otherwise, your work will be caught in Turnitin, and you have to avoid plagiarism at all costs. So if you want to demonstrate your ability, if you want to demonstrate your capability as a researcher, as a writer, as a capable student, then you have to make sure that you're following the correct format of the referencing. Any questions? All right. So just, just discuss it amongst yourself that why do you think that you need to acknowledge someone else's idea. Can you please
Sure.
okay, so why do you think that if we are taking information from someone else's work, or if we are taking inspiration from their ideas or thought, then we need to acknowledge it. But if it is your own work, then do you have to give a reference?
Yeah.
Let's say you have created a theory and you have done your own work, then also will you have to give your own reference?
I wouldn't think so, because
Yes.
but the idea and knowledge, the idea and knowledge emanate from you. So you're not giving credit to anybody on that.
Exactly. So since you are the author of that paper, you are the author of that book, you are the author of that research, then there's not
no
a
credit.
need
Yes, no
of giving the credit. But let's say you have written a work, and even if he's your classmate or your friend and he's using your work, then he needs to give you credit.
Yes.
Then
Because
he needs to provide a
Because there's a
reference.
second party already.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm glad that all of you you have a basic understanding of references.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it is, as I said, that if it is your own idea, that then you're not expected to put any reference for your original idea. But at the same time, when you're quoting or critiquing someone else's idea, then it's a must that you are giving a correct reference list. Alright. So these are some of the common reference lists that we have. The APA, which is the one that you're following. Then you have the MLA, which stands for Modern Language Association. AMA, which stands for the American Medical Association. Now this one, the American Medical Association, this one is mostly used in students who are studying some health and social care courses or some medical related courses. And when we talk about the MLA one, so anyone who is doing, so let's say you are doing a degree in DET, right? But if someone is doing their degree in language, in English, in creative writing, in foreign languages, then they're supposed to do their referencing in the MLA format. And lastly, we have the Harvard referencing. So there's not much of a difference between Harvard referencing and the APA one. Yes.
Can I ask a question, please? I'm sorry, because it's like this question is off course, kind of. Why is it that all the citations we have so far are American in orientation? I mean, look at like these common references styles. All the styles being mentioned are American. Why don't we have English or British? British.
I know. So this is not, the name is the American Psychological Association. So basically this association or institution is responsible for creating this this particular referencing style, and it is used worldwide, right? So for example, when it comes to definitions, most of the people, they use Oxford Dictionary,
Yeah.
right? So similarly,
Okay.
if someone, so this is not like we're following American style.
Okay.
It's the place, it's the psychological association that is responsible
Or
for creating
maybe
this.
they kind of the base. They form the base of reference.
Yeah. I mean, if you are into education and if you continue with DET, who knows, you'll create a new form for Britain then. Yeah. Alright. Now, talking about what are the credible academic sources. Academic sources are the sources that you need for your assignments, whether it's any book, whether it's any article, whether it's any journal, even if it is the class notes or the class presentation. All these will be coming under the academic sources, right? So, can you think of any of the academic sources or research databases that you use in your assignments? You are doing your assignments, right?
Yes, please.
Where do you take help from?
The references.
No. Where do you get those references from?
Yeah, I'll get it
from
you get it from the
journals,
from the
journals
book.
and academic write-ups.
Yeah, for library as well.
From library, yes.
Yeah.
So you have the school's library, or
School
you
library,
have the
internet,
online library.
Online library, yes.
Yeah. Anything else?
Like in the internet as well, like a journal.
Internet, yeah.
Internet journal.
So internet has wide arrays of
Yeah.
websites
Website. Yeah.
and journals and articles.
Yeah.
But the key is that since you are into education and since you have to, prove the credibility of your assignments, yes, sir. So in that case, you have to make sure that you are using the correct research databases, right? So can you please switch it off? Yeah. So as you can see on the screen, this is a list of the reliable databases that you can use. So we have the Google Scholar. I'll just give you like a small demonstration if you want how you can use the Google Scholar. Then you have the Oxford University Press Online, then Business Source Premier, Taylor and Francis eBooks, ProQuest, VLE books, and so on. I'm not saying that use all of them in just one single assignment, but whichever you feel it's easier to use, you can use it in your assignment, right? So do you want me to show you how you can use Google
Google
Scholar?
Scholar,
Yeah. Just a moment. Okay. So if I just write here Google Scholar,